no mountain that cannot be moved in his name. Jesus, there is no valley that cannot be filled in his name. Jesus.
Welcome back to Wisdom and Life. I hope you are doing well wherever you are. And in today's episode, we want to share about my experience with chemotherapy. And my experience with chemotherapy is both a personal one and on having nursed chemotherapy patients. So I want to start by a background of what I saw when I was nursing the chemotherapy patients. You know, it is different when it is you, and it's also and when it's someone else. My experience with the chemotherapy patients was quite something, and it was more than 10 years ago. That time, information on cancer was scanty. Information on treatment was scanty, and usually what I saw that time was this patient, yes, would come for chemotherapy, several sessions, and most of them unfortunately did not make it. That was not a nice experience. I saw the doctors frustrated, I saw the patients frustrated, I saw their relatives on the verge of giving up. And personally, I used to get burnouts, I used to get drained, I used to get stressed up. And sometimes I'll see the doctor write in those notes, do not resuscitate, DNR. Reason being, one time I asked one doctor why he used to write DNR, especially in the end stage. And he told me that there's no point of treating someone who is eventually going to die. Can you imagine how that feels when someone tells you on your face that you are going to die? One day, a colleague of mine who had prostate cancer, he was doing so well on chemotherapy, though weak, though the blood picture was not also so good. And this doctor, on doctor's round, decided to tell this colleague of mine that please look for a hospital near you, so that when you die, your relatives are not going to have expenses, more expenses than they should. And I kept thinking, why would someone tell someone that they're going to die? I was having a chat with a friend of mine, and he was telling me how devastated he was that his patient had been told by a doctor that she was going to die. Of course, in our line of duty, our work is to work with both extremes. One extreme of life is when people are getting born, and the other extreme of life is when people are dying. And of course, they are very important aspects of our lives. And someone will ask me, why would death be an important aspect of life? To me, it's an important aspect of life because it's a passage to the other world. And if you are not prepared, and of course, even myself, it's not easy to be prepared for the other side of life. Even David himself said and told God, if I go to the grave will not praise you. Meaning that life is as important as that. But as much as we are supposed to tell people that their end is drawing nigh, the way we do it also matters quite a lot. So he wasn't wrong to have told this patient that they are going to die. The other doctor was also not wrong having told my colleague that he also was going to die. But how it is said. So with all these things going on in my mind, one time I remember a doctor telling me I had a patient who had apnea. Apnea means breathing, in a layman's language, a breathing that is disappearing, or slow breathing. That means you are losing breath by and by. One time I had such a patient, and I asked the doctor, what do I do with this patient? You have written DNR. and the doctor just told me, just hold their hand, talk to them, and science has it that hearing is the last thing to disappear. I kept talking to this patient, and sometimes you are pushed to go even towards spirituality. I believe that people subscribe to different deities, but I subscribe to God Almighty, and He is the one in charge of everything. He is the one in charge of the earth and everything thereof. He's the one in charge of our lives. He's in control of even that moment when we're just about to go to the other world. And truth is that death is cruel. You can check that out on my Facebook account, A Personal Journey of Grief. That's a story that I'll have to tell one day. And being in that space when you're just thinking that any time from now, I may be on that other side, is quite a roller coaster. And when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I realized that I had vicarious trauma because I left bedside nursing because of that trauma. I really was not comfortable nursing people who are not going to make it. And it's the joy of the nurse to see a patient walk out of the hospital well and alive, not sentenced to a terminal disease at home for home care. No, it's just a joy to see people go back home when they are well and they are okay. So basically my experience with chemotherapy is a story that I want you to, if you've had such experience, please comment and let us know what you went through.